10:40 and I'm 6 minutes late. I do have my guest in studio for Authors Brew Friday on this coffee break moment with the G Spot experience. And hey, I'm your girl Germaine. So bear with me. I'm feeling a little like behind trying to catch up to myself. Instagram is now set live. So, all right. All right, we got it. Before I bring our guest up, let me just go back to the beginning. This has been one of those days, but I'm here, right? I'm here. So today on the G Spot Experience with your girl Germaine, the coffee break, Fridays I decided to make it a segment of the coffee break. So in today's Authors Brew Friday, I have none other than Miss Theresa Merritt-Watson, who is one of HOV's best-selling authors, HOV Publishing, another one of my best-selling authors. And we're going to dive into her book about Black tech leaders in technology, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And you know what? Let me just bring her in studio. She should be ready. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me pull her in, and then let's spill the tea on some things, right? Hey, Theresa, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. And before we get started, let me know, they decided to come mow the lawn, the landscapers. Can you hear that noise in the background?
I cannot.
Great.
I cannot.
Great. So that means nobody else hopefully can hear that.
Yeah.
So, with the coffee breaks, I've been having fun with this, right? And so I decided, since I'm talking about the publishing and people sharing their stories, I decided to come up with the idea. Let's make Fridays all about the authors. Let's make it all about the authors. Let's, get the tea on why they decided to write their books. What's the inspiration, the motivation behind it? Who's their audience that they're trying to target? And you are an interesting artist, and your brand, Blacks In, we're going to get all into that, right? So before we do, Theresa, what we do, today I'm drinking water. I'm not sure what you're drinking today.
I'm having both water and tea.
Okay, good. Because, you can't have a coffee break without something in your hand to drink, right? All right. So what we like to do here on the G Spot Experience coffee break is we take a pause and we pour in a purpose. And that's exactly what we're going to do today with you. We're going to talk about purpose, and we're going to talk about who we are as a people and your whole movement, your brand, Blacks In, which I absolutely love that because it covers such a huge spectrum of Black people.
Yes, it does. It does.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into talking about your book, which is a bestseller, Blacks in Tech. And I'm going to pull it up on the screen. Give me a second. Let me get this together. I want to pull it up on the screen while we're talking. And it's not just a book. You also have, okay, get my media together right now. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I don't know. My computer feels like it's lagging behind today. It's throwing me off. All right, let's show Black Tech. Okay. All right, let me pull it up on a screen that I know what to show up on. All right, y'all, it's Friday. I know my mind is already set on Saturday. Here we go. Theresa, this is your book, Black Tech, Leaders in Technology, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, which I think is an absolute incredible cover. Let's get into it.
Yeah, Gerard did a great job.
All right. So let's talk about Black Tech. What is Black Tech?
Well, actually, Black Tech tells about some of the great things that African Americans have done in the development of this country, and it tells about the technology that we have contribute to. A lot of times people don't even think about the great things that when they go into their car or on their phone doing GPS, they do not think about those people that actually created that. And so one of the, and I just thought that one of the problems the reason why I wrote the book, because so many kids and so many parents don't know the history of Black people. And so when you don't know your history, you tend to repeat it. And so you can take a look at where we are right now. You could take a look at where we are right now, and you will see that we're repeating some of the things because of the lack of knowledge. Just about everything that someone touches in the United States has had the footprint of an African American. And so we go along the day as if we don't have, and we're not a contributing factor. And so that makes it very difficult for you to progress in the world. So we have a lot of people that have done great things throughout the United States and the world, actually, because there is no traffic light. Without Garrett Morgan, you wouldn't see it in France. You wouldn't see it in Africa. Right. And so these things are absolutely important.
That's right. That's one thing. When I was just letting everyone know that you were going to be in studio with me today on this coffee break, we talked about things we don't even think about. Mm-hmm. Our cell phones we carry every day. We can't live without them, right?
That's true.
Created by one of us. Someone that looks like us, right?
There's so much more technology that's in the book. And my books consist of 7 Black men and 7 Black women. And I take a look every time. Well, a lot of times I'm looking at my computer, and back in the day, when the computer came out, they were black and white. And Marty created the color monitor, but we don't think about that. I think that when you go to work and you see all these things that you use and they have a Black connection, I think people on the job should know that. It helped them develop a sense of pride, a sense of belonging. I think that that's a very impactful thing for children. And so people will say, well, they're not teaching it in school. Actually, they probably not, but the kid is home. So it's also our job to know you, and it's hard to teach something you don't know.
So it sounds like don't just rely on the schools to teach our children. Make sure you start at home. And that's one thing about your book. When you even bought it to me, I love the idea how you packaged it in a children's book, because not just for children. I've learned so much in that book. And I'm not even going to say I'm ashamed to say I didn't know a lot of it, because now I do. But I'm just happy that someone created something that we all can really glean from, learn from. And that's exactly what you did. So why do you think now is so important more than anything for Black tech in your series of Black in books that are coming?
Well, it's more important now. You can look at the governmental system that we're operating under right now. They could not pull the plug as such as they have if we were actually on top of the game of knowing and having a sense of belonging and having a pride and a connection. But you have to be sensitive to that, because sometimes people put systems in place so that these things and these growth and development do not happen. And so that is one of the elements that has transpired in our race, in Black people, so there's intervention, if you will, call it. But when things have been done, we have, if we pay attention to what people do and say, we will be better off. We can be better served. So that's one of the problems that we have. And why the question was, why is it important?
Why is it important?
It's important now because our kids are in school, and you can look at a kid. I'm going to give you an example. You can look at a kid that's in first grade, and you could see how they approach school, how they look at school, because they don't see themselves threaded through the fiber of the educational system. It looks more like indoctrination. And I give you an example. For example, I have a black kid, you have a white kid. They've been playing baseball together, little league baseball, and all these other different sports. Very good friends. But when they go to the first grade, the one thing that you see is that you start learning about George Washington. You start learning about Lincoln, other people in that sector. And while you give us little trinkets over here on Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and maybe Jesse Jackson or Shirley Chisholm. And then all through school, you're highlighting Robert E. Lee, Hoover, all these other people and we still getting the same trinkets all the way through school. So you've done several things. There's several things in that. And one is that you've sent a message of how important the white race is and their contribution and how great they are. And what you've done is to say you just had a little sprinkle of development of this country, and you get that all the way through 12th grade. Wow. So you send that message and you say to the kids, and the kids start believing this. So they don't really develop that sense of pride and sense of belonging. They lose some of their creativity. They lose their ability to solve problems the way they should, because they're not threaded through the fiber. Well, not only do you teach them all these other people, but you also send a message to the kids that the whiteness is the greatness.
Yes.
Even though if they unpack, if their problem solving ability were in check, they will be able to unpack that and see. Particular George Washington was, when he lost a slave, he was obsessed with going back and getting that slave, So and some of the things that some of these people, Robert E. Lee, all these presidents, even Lincoln, that people read and rave about his greatness and he too had slaves and was not kind to a lot of his slaves. And so there are some things, if the kids were able, as they progress through school, they would be able to unpack it and see some of the things that actually went on. And we wouldn't have to be worried about, is it appropriate to tell the kids? Because they will unpack the elementary stuff. By the time they get in high school, they've dissected the whole process. And so what are we telling them? They have learned it themselves. And so when we don't, right now, in the system, they're removing a lot of the book. The Library of Congress got a new director. There's no telling what books and things they close, they get rid of, just to not support what actually transpired in this country. And so that's the reason why I think the fight for me is for us to get on track about who we are and the educational process as you know it. So I hope I answered
exactly. So hold on, let me pull up. No, you did. You did, and you touched on. Hold on. For some reason, my computer is like a little delay. So you all out there, just bear with us because this is such great information. Okay, here we go. I don't know what's going on with today. What's up with today? Today is Friday. We should all be happy. Computers should be doing what we need them to do, right? But you mentioned something. Right now, they're trying to take our books out of schools. Right. And so I think it's a time right now for us to really raise our voices as a people and really help to teach exactly what you're doing through your movement, teaching our culture, our people about our Blackness, about our contributions to society, to the world. It's not just here in the United States. Our contributions have been globally.
Oh, yeah.
And we could just pull out just some of the profiles that you highlight in your book, Black Tag. Like you said, 7 Black men, 7 Black women, their contributions. Let's talk about a few of them, things that we use every day that we don't even realize it was our people that created it.
Well, that's
Let's talk.
true. Well, I love, of course, he's not in my book, Mark Dean. I want to say that he's not in this book. I had to sort of narrow it down, but he is one of my favorite. Gladys West is one of my favorites because I use a GPS
All
for
the time.
everything. I know sometimes I'm in my car and I'm talking to my kids and they says, Mom, please don't tell me you're using a GPS to go home. I said, I like hearing how many miles I gotta go. Like knowing that,
But you like somebody in the car with you, right?
Yes, so and the one of the things that I don't know much about space, but we don't think about the the impact that we have had in space. Now, in the simplest term, George Crothers did the camera for space, and
Mhm.
but you would never really think about a black man doing that, because they say, the people that's not going to do most of the heights are the black people, right? So they're not swimming and doing all these other things. But I think one of the ones that I'm the most intrigued about, because she completed this task before she was 25. She died at 25, and that's Alice Parker. And Alice Parker, she's from Jersey, but she went to Howard, and she
Yes.
created the first gas furnace for heat, you know, and and I like that because it gives our people, our kids, our students, our young people the idea that some of this stuff you see a need and you try to fix it. You see a
Yes.
need and you think about how important it is for you to fix it. And so that's why I really like Alice Parker. Um, and because I've had exposure to this. Alexander Mao was particularly important to me, and
Mhm.
is because he created an automatic elevator door opener. And back in the time when African Americans were riding the elevator, most of the time it was a white woman that was closing and opening doors, coming to the floors and pick you up and things like that. Well, and if the black man touched her, you were always in trouble, in jail, or reprimanded, or even killed for touching them in the elevator. So to me, that was magnificent because I'm from the South, so a lot of things went on, So and so the one that really gets me is Marion Croak.
Yeah.
Marion Croak uh, created voice over IP, which essentially is Zoom. But we don't. When we see all these other tools that we have, you don't think about Marion Croak. And Janice Bazin. Janice Bazin created the application software essentially,
Mhm.
and so you wouldn't be able to complete your application or all these forms without her initial um, invention. So
Yes.
I think that, and I tell you the one that I like because I get an excessive amount of messages on my phone to tell me about the security system. Miriam Britton Brown, and she created the security system. But how often do we think about that when we looking at our security system? Um, and most of us have one. And if we don't have one, when you enter the school or the building, any building, and you being clocked somewhere, you know.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Black people continue to do marvelous
Excel.
things. Yes.
And you know what? I tell you because all those that you mentioned, I wonder how much of us really understand if it was not for us as a
Yeah.
people and our brilliance, we would we wouldn't have a lot of what we have. And you know the sad thing about that is how many people, our people that have invented, created, that are no longer with us, have died poor, didn't reap the benefits of their creation. That's what really gets me is that it happens on all levels. It's our genius that they want. It's our genius that we either give away or that we don't even realize they're taking it from us.
Well,
And
sometimes you
that's a whole
realize
nother
it.
conversation for another day.
And sometimes you realize that they give you pennies on a dollar for it, and you think you've made a substantial amount of money when it's like Africa. They give you pennies on a dollar, and they take it taking $1,000,000. They give you $1,000. They taking a million, making $1,000,000 out of it. And so that's one of the problems that we have had. And when you're doing research, when I'm doing some research on Black people, sometimes it feels like Alexander Graham Bell. He's one, he was and Edison. They both were sued for things that they said they created when actually their apprentice, which happened to be Black, created those things. And so, but when you start researching back, then it's harder to navigate because he actually found the patents on some of these things. And so you could see who worked on it and things like that, but you don't, the end result is that their name is on it. And so this is what's happening now. We won't be able to find out some of these things if it's left up to the powers would be right now. And so if we had the information, if we knew the information already to convey to our kids walk anywhere in school, in their community, they will walk anywhere with pride, and they will be, they would definitely have a sense of belonging. Definitely. So that's
absolutely. I'm so sorry, but I just feel like every so often my connection is like doing its own thing. But guess who? I want to tell you who just joined in on our Instagram Live. The actual creator of this beautiful cover, Mr. Gerard Harmon. Gerard is joining us in Instagram through Instagram Live. And yes, Gerard, we have talked about this amazing creation of a cover that you have brought to life for Black Tech that really I remember one of my mom's girlfriends, we were all together, and she out of nowhere said, my daughter saw this book. She said, Germaine, I didn't know you published. I was like, what? She was like, she saw this book with this little Black boy on the cover and an ego, and she had to buy it for her son for Christmas. And it was such a proud moment,
Well, Gerard did a marvelous job, I would say, on the cover.
Yes. But then it just really helps draw people in, because the information, the content that you are providing is, come on, America, let's educate ourselves as a people. They could try to take away, they could try to shut us down, but they can't. They need us. They need us more than they realize. But Theresa, I know our coffee breaks, I always say they last 5, 10, 15 minutes. But when the topic and the conversation is so good, it spills over a little, Yeah. The brew is good today. So, but what I want to do, because I know you got a busy schedule today, I do want you to talk about what other initiatives you have going on that you can invite the audience into to be a part of, to share in, to be educated in.
Well, soon and very soon, I will have a podcast, and it's Blacks In. And so it lists a wide range of things that Blacks are in, and things that we're doing, and the things that strengthen us. And I also have, right now we're pushing Lead and Read. Lead and Read is a program where the African American Church joins Synergy Training Solution, which is a nonprofit. And the members of the church actually will get an African American student within the community, and that student will call them once a week and read to them for 10 minutes. Now, over time, that 10 minutes may change, but for initial offset, it will be 10 minutes. And at the end of the session, after they finish talking about decoding, comprehension and things like that, at the end of the session, everyone is given a Black fact. Like Gladys West created the GPS. Garrett Morgan created the gas mask or the traffic light. So we will continue to do things like that. And so getting the African American Church to join, because everything is phone based. And so
Okay.
the student do not have to leave home, but they do have to call because we want them to take ownership of their learning. And so when you're saying our kids can't read or they graduate, and we have a kid now, 10th grade, reading on the second grade level, but because the communication, and this is my theory, by the way, because of the communication is over the phone, the regular calls are coming in. And so consequently, what you have is a student being able to call, and you see the progression of him improving up to about 5th grade now, and then you can see that happening in more cases. So we're taking care of our people education. We're taking care of our people economics, and so these are things that we're doing. We also have, and it starts on the 21st of August. I think it's the 21st. And we also have Lead and Read from 4-year-old, from 5 to 10. This for these kids, and they children books about Black facts, Black stories. And you come on from 11 to 11:15, and we would do that. And Blacks In, we want to talk about the greatness of African American things that's going on now. And now, not like a news story, you don't want to be Roland Martin. So what it would be, is we will like right now I'm looking at a church that goes out and help the elderly people clean their yard, do things like that. And they bring in the students. We talk about students that help other. Right now we have a church where the student is actually managing their Instagram, so we do various things. And there's another project I'm just thinking about that I know that I'm doing right now. Oh, we're doing a summer program in Delaware. And that is, and one of the components that I really enjoy, the kids are learning coding. They're learning how to design an app. As one of the individuals says, our kids go on and play the games, but they don't know how to design the game. Exactly. And that's where, the real game start, And so in addition to one of the things that they're doing is breaking down the computer to its RAS form, putting it back and showing all the components and how to build a computer. I think that is really fascinating.
It is.
So
you got a lot going on, Miss Lady.
But all of them are condensed into this one Lead and Read project. It's just and of course, I have my book. I have 20 books Black coming out. And so we'll be bringing up our new book soon.
Yes. And the next one is on, you can share a little insight on that, or you don't want to.
Oh, Blacks in STEM.
Yes.
Blacks in STEM. And so
hey,
that's what.
Guess who just joined the conversation? Charles Williams.
Good morning, Charles.
The whole time commenting. But yeah. So let me ask you, how can they follow you? Because I'm saying they can follow Theresa across all social media platforms at Blacks In, right?
Yes, Blacks In _. Got
it.
Blacks In _.
We want to make sure they stay connected with you. And the reason is because, a lot of people have children, they have grandchildren, they have people that they are connected with that have children and grandchildren that really need this information that you're putting out. So we want to make sure they're able to connect with you in order to be able to get the information that they need. And you know what? And also make donations. Make donations because it is a huge vision that God has given you that you're undertaking. And you know what? Vision takes financing. And the thing is, if you are gleaning something from it, if you're growing from it, if you're eating from it, then you know what? Just plant a little seed so it can be watered and be a blessing to you as well. So talk about it. Put it out there.
And you can go in and make donation at synergytrainingsolutions.org.
Okay, let me type that in. So they can make donations and also find out more information.
Yes.
This is your nonprofit. Give me a second. I want to get it all in the thread. So it's always there for people to go back and get it. We don't want to miss out on anything. Like I said, this is truly a labor of love. It's your passion. It
It is
comes
my
across.
passion.
You are very committed and serious about it. Even finishing up your doctoral program. So in a minute, we'll be calling you doctor. You know,
Yeah,
you put a lot of hard work in to get that. So
my last absolute class I gotta walk into is in a week or so. And I'm just so excited.
yeah. And it's synergy, right?
Yes, synergytrainingsolutions.org.
Okay. Hold on, bear with me. I'm just gonna grab that so people can click on the link and it'll take them right there. All right. Theresa, I know I held you hostage for longer than 15, 20 minutes. We're 30 minutes in.
Oh,
Oh,
you know, this
I'm sorry.
no, this is really good. But one of the things while you're doing that, I do want to say that it is of the utmost importance that everybody consider that the importance of them learning and knowing their history. Our kids, you cannot expect other people to give that. We have watched our kids go to school, leave home, and you cannot do certain things to people when things are embedded in them. You know, it's almost like I know what I'm doing. I know what we've contributed, but we don't know that. And I will leave you. I did a training session with 100 people on my book. The ages were 55 to 85. Not one person in a room of 100 people knew anybody in the book. It's only 14 people, but no one knew anyone in the book. Now, if we don't know it, we can't pass it on.
That's right.
You know, and so our kids are intriguing kids. They're smart kids, but it doesn't show on paper. So what's happening? There's a lot of things that's happening. And with the early on, I gave you one that I have been looking at and digging into, but that's not my dissertation because it takes years to be able to unpack. And I don't really want to do that right now, but I do want to get it funded to do after I finish my dissertation, because that is one thing that I do want to do is to make sure that show how the impact of you making sure that we only get trinkets of Black people, and while everybody else is showing the whiteness for 12 years. And then we start thinking that they have done everything from the financial institutions. And there's so many Black people that have helped other people start businesses in the financial world that we don't even know. Even KFC had to get monies from a Black woman. And look where he took off. Never mention her unless you start digging. You know, I'll find out our banking institution. They never mention us unless you start digging. And so
we got to expose it ourselves.
Yeah. And I think people wouldn't be talking about get rid of the other people of color if we knew our history, because they thinking that we're going to go back and do cropping on the farm and all that, because Mr. Trump said those are Black jobs, you know. So, you know, we don't know what we've done and how great we've done and how easy we've made farming actually, but it's not something people wouldn't be talking the way they talk about the African American if we embrace ourselves, if we develop the pride for ourselves, I guess is what I'm saying.
So I do. There's a whole lot of teaching and training to do, right? A whole lot of educating. But you know what? You can start with your book, Black Tech. It is easy, it's colorful, but you give, and you know what? We did not say this, but I want to make sure we say this. because you highlighted their education institute, whether they were
Oh,
educated or not, and they created this. And the thing is, a lot of them are HBCU graduates, our own
and
institution.
yes, I do highlight. I tell everybody it's college, but I want to highlight the greatness in the HBCUs. I also wanted to highlight the greatness in people that decided not to go to college, but they self-taught engineers, like uh, Garrett Morgan, Louis Latimer with the light fixture. All of us got lights. Germaine, I see that your room is very bright. So I see that your room is very bright, and so I do highlight the African Americans that are self-taught engineers. So people don't give up hope. You don't have to necessarily go to college to uh, to fulfill your dream. And all of us have a passion. That's the thing I wanted to leave you with. Everybody has a passion. And when our kids go to school, sometimes they come from low wealth or they don't necessarily, but people don't nurture. Teachers are not nurturing that, necessarily nurturing their passion. And so if John is working with his dad on a Mustang and rebuilding, increasing the engine, there's a lot of mathematical formulas and reading going on doing that whole ordeal. But when John gets in the second grade and the teacher says, oh, he has superb math skill, but you don't really dissect the fact that here it is, he's, and you can nurture the fact that, John now know what he can do, estimation very well. He can do all these math very well because of the exposure, because of the passion that he have developed because someone has nurtured it. Well, when he's in school, you can also nurture that, continue to nurture that passion. And he may end up becoming a mathematician or whatever he becomes. You can nurture those passion. But we often get in school and no one nurture the passion, because if we come from a low wealth environment, they think that we don't have one. Every child born has a passion. Every child born has a purpose. And so these are the things that you have to really take a look at our system and how it's impacting our kids. Our kids are too smart for us people to look at us and say that we're the problem. And
That's it. That's right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're gonna bring this coffee break to a close because me and you, we start talking and we could talk for hours.
That is true. That is true.
But excuse me, let me get some of my water before we bring this to a close. But really, really, I hope people really allow themselves to buy into what is rightfully ours, buy into who we are, and really walk in the authority of who we've been created to be, and know that we are purpose. If it wasn't for us, I don't know what America would look like. But here we are, right? Stop believing the lies that's out there and really know your history so you know what your future can look like. All right. And do the research for yourself. Don't just listen and let somebody tell you. Do the research for yourself to know, so you can impact and empower someone's life as well. But is there any last words you want to leave with the audience or the community before we bring this coffee brew to a close? The tea has been so good.
I'm hoping that, one of the things I just want to say is that I'm looking for the strength of African American, when we're united, we're very united.
Yes.
We are communal people. And if we can get back to that level, looking out for our brothers and sisters, impacting our brothers and sisters, we know that we are powerful people. And that's where I want our kids to walk proud in their power. That's what I really do.
That is good. We might be forced back into that place. So you know what? Embrace it. Embrace it. Embrace it and love one another,
Well, I think that journey will be an advantage for us.
Absolutely.
Definitely advantage. And I'm looking forward to it. So sometimes things are forced upon you and it works out in your favor.
Absolutely.
So
Well, Miss Theresa Merritt-Watson, thank you so much for joining me in studio on this coffee break. I do apologize for the technical difficulties we was having in the beginning, in the lags. I don't know what's going on with this Friday, but you know what? We're here. We're going to take our power in this day and we're going to make things happen. So in our coffee break close, what you expose a child to shapes how they see the world and themselves. With every page of Black Tech, Theresa Merritt-Watson is expanding vision and creating new pipelines of purpose and possibilities. So I just want y'all to sip slow on that. I want you to think forward and invest in innovation. Start by purchasing her book, okay? I put the links all in the thread so y'all can go ahead, click the link, and invest in your child's future. And your own also, because like she said, 100 people in a room and nobody knew any of the 14 inventors in the book. That's a problem. We got a lot of work to do and we can make this happen and walk proud in who we are as a people. So thank you once again, Miss Theresa Merritt. All right, you have a wonderful day.
I wanted to just leave this last thing if I could, if it gets rearranged, and that is I would love to do professional development at different schools. So that we can understand the nurturing and the connectivity and the importance of adding things into the current curriculum, not creating a new curriculum, just adding, making some slight modification to enhance our kids.
Absolutely. Really. Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm going to leave this on the screen for everyone to see these beautiful book covers again and know that the book is available everywhere and that they definitely should go get their copy. Get your copy, okay? Get your copy in whatever format you want it in. And once again, thank you so much for just being a part of the community, the Hope of Vision Connect community, and we're bringing you the G-Spot Experience coffee break. These coffee brews have been super good. I'm telling you, I've been sipping on them. I've been just walking in it. So I hope it is impacting your life as well, and that you are really able to take something from it, or maybe not. You know what? Just let me know if it's helping or if it's not. And then let me know if there's any things that you would like to talk about as well. Or if you are an author or someone looking to write a book and you want to join us on Fridays in our Author Brew Fridays, then please let me know. I would love to talk to you about your book, about the direction, your vision, your idea for a book, your story. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's sip on it and let's just talk about it. Okay. But please make sure you go to my YouTube. It is in the description, and subscribe. The numbers are going up. My goal is to get to 10,000 by the end of August, hopefully before. But it takes all of you. And thank you so much for being a part of my Hope of Vision Connect community. So once again, I want you to think forward, and I want you to invest in innovation. You might even be an inventor. So please go support Theresa, get a copy of her book, and you know what? Let's continue to change and build America. All right. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next coffee break, which will be Monday. Have a great weekend. Please be safe. And thanks again. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Theresa, have a great one.
So, Germaine, do I disconnect?
Hold on. We're still live. Theresa still want to go in, y'all. Hold on one second.
No, I just want to know, do I disconnect? I didn't know I was.
Hold on one sec.